welcome to the Grown Up Show, everyone. We're being a grown up is always up for debate. My name's Danny Barros, alongside my buddy Anthony Hall.
What's up?
Episode 17, man. We just keep going, man, like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah,
Just keep
man.
turning them out. Here we are,
Just rolling.
beating that drum. Boom, 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 boom.
Yes.
Oh man, what another week, dude. How's things going on over in the old Hall house? Guys holding it together?
Yeah. Everything's cruising along, just going with the motions.
So you got the new bike, huh, man?
Yes, the Peloton came. It is a miracle, but it has arrived. It's been nice.
Dude. You enjoying it?
Yeah, I got it on Thursday afternoon. Friday. Maybe it was Friday afternoon. I think it was Friday afternoon I got it. And then I was like, I went to go set it all up, and I realized that I guess the clips that go on the bottom of the shoes didn't come with the shoes I bought. Like, I didn't buy the Peloton shoes. I bought some Nike shoes, and they don't come with the bike. Yeah. So not a big deal. Like, I wasn't really planning on riding it Friday at night anyways. I was kind of planning on just setting it all up. So I just had to run. Luckily, they sold the clips. I mean, they're nothing spectacular. So they sell the clips at REI. So I was able Saturday morning to wake up and go grab the clips. I did a ride Saturday and then Sunday, and then I took a couple days because
I'm sure you kicked your body's ass for a little while. You need to recover.
Well, yeah. Well, the seat is not comfortable. It takes some getting used to. So my ass was killing me. And then on Monday, I went to a pumpkin patch with the kids and everything, and they had this massive corn maze, which I drastically underestimated, and I got lost in, and I think I walked 5 miles in that damn thing. So I kind of was like, I don't think I need to ride on Monday.
Yeah, dude, the mazes are amazing. Like, there's a big hay maze that down past Half Moon Bay that they make every year at Arata's. We cruise down there, and it's like, even though like they change it for sure, because like I've done them every year, and it's like every year I get stuck in there, and like takes you like 25, 30 minutes to get out. You finally figure your way out.
This thing, I kind of have a funny story about this thing. So I'm pretty chill, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of embarrassed about this, but I'll share it anyways. I had my first ever. About what?
Embarrassed about how chill you are?
No, I'm embarrassed about the fact that I got lost in a corn maze and had my first ever panic attack. So it was a lot. There's a lot of buildup. Okay, all right. So you can judge me all you want. It's fine. But I had all three boys because Jen was outside of the maze on a work call.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, this will burn some time. It'll be fun. They'll love it.
They're going different directions.
We got halfway through that thing, dude, and I passed the fucking number 7 marker 4 times. And I'm like, all right. I got Luke, Luke is just like there's no schedule when it comes to Luke. Like, this dude takes 45 minutes to eat dinner, takes him 45 minutes to change into his pajamas. Like, he is the definition of chill mode. So I got Nate, who's like running ahead of me. I got Luke, who's like dragging his feet behind me. Like, well, I'm bored.
You got one strap to your chest.
I got Jack strapped to my chest, and then I'm wearing my jacket because it was supposed to be cold. But of course, this one little fucking pocket, the sun's out, and it's like frying me to death. I can't find my way out of this place. And I finally just like, I lost my shit, dude. And I had like a mini panic attack. And like Jen finally called and was like, where are you guys? And I was like, you need to come in through the exit of this thing and find us right now before I literally start screaming my head off. Like, I cannot get past 7. I've gone every freaking direction 4 times. Get me out of here now. So
it's like you're just having one of those dad moments where you're just like, everything's overwhelming you, especially like the kids aren't helping. You're trying to like, you're at the point where this is no longer fun. You're really just trying to find your way out. And you're kind of like you're kind of stumped. You have no idea like which direction to go because you tried that one twice. You tried that one already. I think I've tried that one already. And like, what are we going to do here?
Yeah.
And you're just like, I think I'm outmatched.
Yeah. I hit the brink. And when I finally figured my way out, I got so mad because what it was is like there's a bridge that goes over like a little section, right? You can go, and I go up the bridge 3 times. I'm looking, I'm like, I freaking see the route. So I go down and I'd walk, start walking the route, and it just ends up in a continuous circle. I'm like, what the fuck? Well, I didn't realize that because it's like kind of hokey. You have to really see it to understand it, but it's like an oval, but
Right.
there is a pathway that goes under the bridge. But it didn't look like it looked like it was kind of like there for like maintenance, not like actually part of the maze. It was just like a different shape, a different size. Like
Yeah.
they had it really dialed in where they had like throughout the whole maze, dude, literally the entire thing. And this thing is, I swear to God, I'm not exaggerating. It's miles long. They had chicken
Wow.
wire wrapped around the corn, so it's like there's no wrong way to go. Like you can't like
Yeah,
just.
yeah, you have to go that way.
But this one route, I was just like, I passed it a couple times. I was like, no, there's no way. That's like a maintenance route for the bridge or something. And finally, I'm like, I threw in the towel. I was like, I could hear Jen. I could see Jen on the other side. I was like, this is the only way. And that sure enough was the way out. And I just like, after I was just like, you idiot, you should have done that but it's like,
Yeah, you should
you
have
really
like
have to
15
see it
minutes ago.
I feel like if majority of the people that were in my situation where I had so much shit going on and looked at this would probably think the same thing as me, where it's like, no, that's like just to get under the bridge for whatever reason. Like there was
Dude,
even
that
like a
sounds
storage container on one side. So I was thinking like there's probably a pathway where they store like some maintenance tools and stuff. But nope, sure enough, that was the way out, and I just couldn't see it.
dude, I mean, that sounds stressful. Like, I think you could really use a beer right now
I could.
just to take the edge off, you know? What do you think?
Yes, I got mine right here.
What do you got?
I'm actually excited about this because not so much the beer, but the reason. So I literally just got off the bike, right? And
Yeah.
I used to when I was stunt riding, I used to ride with this dude who was my size. The dude was like a machine, like like literally looked like a Mexican version of Terry Crews, just like yoked, right? And he used to tell me all the time his secret was after every single workout, he would drink an IPA because there's something in IPA that helps with whatever. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm feeling like him right now, where it's like I just
Yeah.
rode my little ass off, and now I'm gonna drink an IPA.
Well, if nothing else, it's like a little reward. It's like, you just worked out, have yourself a beer, man, pat yourself on the back, you've earned this one,
Yeah, yeah,
at the very least. It
yeah.
is what it is, you know?
So I'll start it off. I went with Fort George again. This I think is really one of my top 3 favorite breweries up here. It's Farmers Annuary. I'm saying that wrong. Annuary. Am I saying that right?
Yeah. Farmers
Annuary.
anywhere.
It's a
Yeah.
weird word. It's IPA, 7.2%,
Nice.
and it's not giving me the IBUs. It's a hater. But I mean,
Oh,
I've had one of these already. It's one that I think it's seasonal. This limited edition beer is a collaboration with Crosby Hops.
oh, nice.
So it's not a seasonal,
That's
it's a limited
it's not
edition.
something you see every day.
Yeah. But it's I had one the other night. Because I've been sticking to
'Cause you
this is like my one beer a week. But I think on Monday my day was so eventful with my first ever panic attack. I came
Yeah.
home and I was
Yeah,
like,
you really
I need
needed
beer.
the beer.
So before I take a sip of this one, I can already tell you it's a good one. So
Nice.
anyone who's
Nice.
looking for a limited edition IPA and you have access to this, go for it.
Right on, brother. So this week I'm working with, also one that, I'm not tasting it for the first time. This beer is called Fluent in Sarcasm.
Oh, that's cool. That's
It's
like
a,
you know what that looks like? You can relate to this. Oh, what is it? Dino trucks?
yeah.
Dude, that looks like the
See how
little
he's doing like the air quotes?
yeah. But he looks like the
Yeah.
little dinosaur one.
Yeah, it's almost like a frog, dinosaur, iguana type animal,
Yeah.
and he's like he looks like he's a slow moving guy, and he's doing the air quotes,
I
and he's
like
just
that.
like, "I'm fluent in sarcasm." It's a West Coast IPA, one of my favorite styles, and this is brewed from Devil's Canyon Brewing Company here in the Bay Area out of San Carlos, California. So, yeah, I love what they do. They make a lot of really good beers. Like one of their staples that they've made for quite some time is the Denogonizer. I'm sure you might have heard that one, or you
Yeah.
see like the big bomber in the bottle that's always out. That
Yeah.
one's a killer beer. So the
Yeah,
same
it is.
brewery, Devil's Canyon. If you get a chance to grab some sarcasm that you want to be make sure you're fluent in, check them out.
Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers, man. Sometimes, man, a beer just tastes on another level, you know? Not even like because it's a good beer, just you're in that,
Oh yeah.
you're just in that moment in life where it just tastes it's just what you need.
I
Just
mean,
what
it
you need.
sounds so cliche, but it's like that first sip that like just like the minute you taste it, the minute it hits your lips, man, the minute
Yeah.
it hits your lips, you're
It's
just
like
like
it's
you
like
just crossed
a
the threshold to where it's like, okay, we can relax now. I'm
yeah.
really not gonna like wonder or worry too much anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I don't really like I don't drink regular soda. Like I have it's everyone makes fun of me for this cuz I'm kind of a big guy, right? But sugar really messes with me cuz I get migraines and stuff. So,
Mhm.
like I don't drink regular soda. I very rarely do. I drink diet soda, but it's almost like and on top of that, I'm not like a big fan of Coke, but it's like like on like a hot day, sometimes like
Yeah.
the best tasting thing is either like an ice cold bottled Coke or Coke, like a fountain Coke. Like
Yeah.
that's like there's that one
I will
situation
agree to that,
where you
you
take
know?
a sip of that and you're just like, whew, man, it hits on a certain level.
Well, I'll give you an example, like, I don't like, I'm kind of you, like, I don't really drink soft drinks. We'll label it as soft drinks,
Yeah.
anymore. Um,
I think
you
the
know,
only one I really drink is Sprite Zero. I really like Sprite
well,
Zero.
yeah, that's kinda where I was going, like, if I'm gonna walk into a convenience store or a gas station, like, and get a drink, like, it's gonna be, like, probably, like, an energy drink, but probably, like, the low calorie or sugar-free ones,
Yeah.
like, that's just how I roll. Um, but like, I'll be at, like, a burger joint, like The Habit or something like that, and I'll be picking up lunch, and I'll get a double cheeseburger. Normally, I'll just get the burger and, like, the onion rings or something, and then I'll just drink water back, wherever I'm going. But every once in a while, it's like, "Nah, I think I'm gonna get a Sprite. I'm gonna
Yeah.
get a Sprite," and then it's like, "The Sprite's so good." You know?
Yeah, that's why Sprite used to be my favorite soda, and that's why I love Sprite Zero. Because, dude, I swear to you, man, and it might just be me, but I think it's out of all the like zeros or diets, Sprite Zero to me tastes literally identical to
Yeah,
regular
no,
Sprite. Like
I mean,
they perfected it.
there's
I mean,
something
it's a
about the
little
cola
different, but
side that, like, when you try to diet it or take things out or the zeros and all that stuff, it just tastes really fake. I
yeah,
mean, it can taste good, but it really is noticeable that it's not the real thing. But, like, in the lemon lime soda factor, it's like you can get caffeine free, low
yeah,
calorie, any of that shit, and it all tastes the same to me,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's when I remember the first time I had a Sprite Zero, I was like, I did the whole double look, like, wait, I did grab a Sprite Zero, right? Yeah. Oh shit, man.
Yeah,
So
exactly. This is for
it's
real, right?
close enough to where it's pretty much like in my fridge. There's like my wife drinks Coke and I drink Sprite Zero, so it's like split down the center. Or at one shelf, it's all Coke on one side, Sprite Zero, and then occasionally, like I'll drink Diet Coke here
So
and
you
there.
guys are like
So,
legit roommates where it's like, "That's your shelf and
oh
this is
yeah,
my shelf," you know?
yeah. And it's funny because it's like
"Don't touch
it's
my
to the
stuff, man."
point where like if one side's getting low on sodas, I'm like, oh god, I gotta put Cokes in here. I gotta touch the
Yeah.
Cokes. And she's the same way. She's just like, I'm not putting the Sprite Zeros in there. You can figure it out. You know,
Yeah,
it's just like
yeah.
it's like a total like
"Oh, you want cold
soft
soda? You're gonna
drink
have to put
beef
it
we
in there
got going
yourself."
on.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
One day she like was in a hurry and she just threw like a box of Coke in and was on my side. And I was like, dude, like you
Yeah.
got this whole section. Like, why are you encroaching? This is my side.
You should take it a step farther and just not buy it the next time you're at the store, but I couldn't buy it.
Yeah.
I couldn't buy that stuff. I could only buy
Dude,
the Sprite soda.
I've done that because she likes the mini cans, right?
Oh, like the 8-ounce one?
Yeah, and because like she just always leaves
She just
leftover
wants like a
like a
little
full.
tiny one, yeah.
Yeah, because she like we're kind of the same and like we like the flavor, but we don't like. It's not like we're trying to drink like gallons of the stuff, you know. But
Yeah.
like I do all the shopping right now because of COVID and everything. and it's just so much easier to just grab the boxes, right? But like for some
Yeah, yeah,
reason, if I go like past like 10 a.m. on Saturday, like someone goes in and like takes all the boxes, but they have them in the little the six packs, you know? And I'm
yeah.
there's been times where I've been nice and grabbed those. And after like the first time I did that, there's another time I went and I came back and I was like, "Dude, I'm not grabbing those because then I gotta throw like 5 of them in the cart. I gotta bag them. It's like, and then I gotta
Yeah.
carry that. It's just a pain in the ass, right? I came home she was like, "No Cokes," and I was like, "No, they didn't have them." She was like, "What about the six packs?" And I was just like, "Fuck you, dude.
She got
You go
you.
get your damn six packs, all right?"
I
She
try to
totally
pull that
calmed
over to
down.
my oh, they didn't have it. Like,
Yeah.
even sometimes I'll forget it, like, "Oh,
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
they didn't have it.
Oh, I
Sorry."
do that sometimes, dude. Because it's like because
It's like, "You
usually it's
have it?"
something like so I did this the other. I've only done this once, Jen. If you're listening, I'm sorry. Okay.
She's not
Luckily, she
listening.
never listens, so I'm good here. But um, so like right now, we're finally getting out of it. But Jack has had a dairy sensitivity, right? Through so
Mhm.
like whenever Jen would eat cheese or stuff, he'd be super gassy for a few days. So we actually
Yeah,
cut cheese out of her diet for the
there you
first
go.
like 6 months. Um, and then now she started over the last 2 months. We've been doing like one slice of cheddar on her sandwich. Like we just make sandwiches for lunch here during every day.
Yeah.
So we started putting one slice of cheddar. But
Little by
before
little,
that,
bringing it back in.
yeah, and he's been doing great with it. So we think he's finally grown out of it. But for a while there, this poor girl, dude, her sandwich was like we get this Cajun turkey. It's like a pepper turkey, but like a little spicier. It's really good from Safeway. So we get that, and then her sandwich was fucking bread, mayonnaise, and avocado, and that was like it. Like it's just like the most generic ass because she doesn't like
And
mustard.
the turkey though, right?
Yeah, and the turkey.
Yeah.
And one day I fucking forgot avocados, and it's like at that point, dude, like when that's like what makes the sandwich, right?
Oh,
Right when
yeah.
I walked in the door, I was like, "Fuck!" And
Yeah.
she's like, "You get everything?" I was like, "Babe, I'm so sorry. They were completely out of avocados."
Yeah.
Like completely out of avocados. And she was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, like if it's like the season or something, but they literally
Yeah.
had none." I even looked at the organic ones, like none anywhere, and she was like, "Damn, okay." I was just like, "Whew, dodge that
Yeah,
bullet."
dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, avocados are one that you can be like, even though they had some, you can be like, they weren't good. Like, oh,
yeah,
they're all too hella
yeah, but they
soft or
always have them,
squishy
dude.
or, you know.
They, there was
Yeah.
actually one time where they didn't have any, but luckily we had like a couple that lasted. Like, cause I mean, avocado, cause like she's the only one. I don't like avocados. Um,
But you ever, like, see them when they're, like, super hard and bright green? And
yeah,
you're like, "Oh, you can't really get those." But the
yeah.
trick with those
You
is
put
you
them in
can
paper
buy
bag.
those. Yep,
Yeah,
paper bag trick.
yeah,
You got it, brother.
yeah. That's actually what I
I
do,
thought it was
like to
cool. I thought I
try.
was one of the only ones that knew that. You just,
No,
like, totally blew it for me,
sorry,
man.
man. That's why like I like getting the paper bags from Safeway because they got the
Oh, yeah,
handles
for
and like
sure.
you can fit more. Um,
For the apples
but
and all that
yeah,
weird
but
shit.
it's like sometimes like if sometimes I'll just leave certain things in the bag and like deal with it later the day or even tomorrow. Like depending on the day. Uh, but I learned that the hard way many years ago with bananas. It's the same thing for bananas and like my family's weirdos. They all like borderline solid green bananas. Dude, a solid green banana could go to pure brown in a day if you leave it in a paper bag, man.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So
But the trick with bananas is, like, if the, like, the stem around the bunch is, like, wrapped in that squishy plastic stuff,
yeah,
they'll stay yellow longer. But if you take that off, they will start to brown up.
yeah. That's
It's
why
amazing.
we've been pumping them out here because all the kids eat them, so I haven't had to worry about it. But there's been times where we wouldn't, so I would just put Saran wrap around it, and it helps a little bit. It's not quite the same, but
Yeah.
it gets it keeps it slows it down.
Bro, I have I have a funny grocery store story I need to tell you right now that we're talking about all this stuff. So, I need to know, would you have done this if you were me at the store? So we shop at Whole Foods instead of Safeway, like, primarily, and the closest Whole Foods to Pacifica is there's one in San Francisco that I drive to. It's literally like a 13-minute drive. It's not, like, that far.
Hmm.
And and so I shop there all the time, but it's like, in San Francisco, there's not a lot of space, so they actually have the parking underground, and then you go upstairs to Whole Foods, right? So I do my shopping, I do my thing. And one of the things that I always do at the store is I always get something to eat like right now. Like I'm gonna eat this on my way home. Cause
Mhm.
like it's kinda like my treat for going to the store. I'm gonna get some junk food that like I'm gonna eat that I can't really bring home and eat because it's not something I would typically eat at home. And I usually get like a piece of pizza or something, right? And I'm eating a slice of pizza. So I bought a slice of pizza, it's on my cart. I'm in the elevator and I'm nose in the elevator and I'm like gonna back out and just like swing my cart around. And there's like one of these Instacart people like standing there waiting to get in the elevator and like barely moves, dude, to where they hit the pizza box that's like sitting on my thing and the thing falls to the ground, right? So my pizza box falls to the ground. The pizza box little thing opens up, like the tip of my pizza like slides out and it's like face down on the like asphalt ground next to like close to the elevator where there's like all this like dust and shit like everywhere, right?
Oh
And the
man.
piece of the pizza like touching that. And I did like the I'm in my head, I'm like 5 second rule, dude, picking this shit up, like put it back in the thing. I'm like cursing like under my breath. I was like, I'm walking to my car and I'm like, fucking Instacart, like Jesus Christ, like this is ridiculous. Like I'm just trying to eat a fucking piece of pizza. I'm not going back up there and I'm just gonna fucking get in the car. I'm going home, right? So I get in the car and I have all these disinfecting things to like do with my hands these days, different wipes, hand sanitizer, right? So I fucking like, I'm eating this fucking piece of pizza. So I get like this alcohol wipe I use for my hands. I wipe my hands. I do all this kind of shit. And then I get the alcohol wipe and I'm like wiping the piece of pizza like this. you know, I'm like wiping like where it got out. And I'm like, we're
Oh my
fucking eating this piece of pizza. and then I ate it. It was great. Piece of pizza, man.
Oh my gosh. I'm laughing because you're fucking stupid and I would probably do the same exact thing.
yeah. Yeah,
I
it's
would have
like
yelled at the
like one
Instacart
of the
person
things I've
though.
been looking forward to for an hour and a half, like, since I knew I was coming to the store, was at least leaving with a
Yeah.
piece of pizza, you know?
I think I would have yelled at the Instacart guy though.
I kinda made a rude comment on my way on my while I was walking away,
Yeah.
but, like, I wasn't trying to make a scene. It's like, it is what it is. It's not gonna change the outcome of the pizza
Well,
at this
you
point, you know?
I see that's where I'm weird, man, cuz I'm like I can be a complete dick in some circumstances and then others I for some reason it like doesn't register until after the fact, right?
Yeah,
Like in a situation like that, I would have been like, dude, like you're gonna pay me for that, right? Because it's like on the ground, like.
you're right.
But like on Saturday when I was checking out, the checker accidentally dropped the strawberries, right, and they just went all over the floor. And it's like I go through the same checker because she's cool and all, and and it's her in the bagger, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, we got to get more strawberries." And it's like, dude, and this is like like every few weeks you got to do the run, right, where you're
Yeah,
just
yeah,
like
like,
you
"Oh,
got the
shit, I'll be
cart,
right back,"
like you
you know?
probably should have. No, well, no, I'm talking about like I know what you're talking about, but I'm talking about like the one where like you got to stock up on like everything, right? Like you
Oh,
technically
yeah, yeah,
probably could have
yeah,
grabbed
yeah.
a second cart. Like so
Right,
it was
yeah.
that, right? So there's like pumping stuff out. So normal circumstances I probably would have been like, yeah, you do. Like, no big
Oh,
deal.
yeah, for
But
sure.
in this situation I was like, you want me to just to go get them? It's like, nah, but like, just like the nice cart. And then as I'm like running to get the strawberries in my head, I'm like, they fucking dropped them. Why am I doing this shit? But it's like, I think it has to do with like, these are two ladies that I deal with almost every week. They're
Yeah,
really
yeah.
nice. They knock
It
out
was an
this
accident,
BS. So
not a
it was
big
an
deal.
accident. But in a situation like that where the person's not even letting you out of the elevator, I'm totally the guy that I would just stare at them and be like, so do you want to go grab me another slice or you just want to pay me for it? Like, how do you want to do this? But
Well,
I'm
I mean,
also
it's
that
like
kind of a prick, though.
I mean, it was a situation where the person was like I think in their mind, they thought that they had given me enough room, but they were those people that are just like, "I'm standing right here at the front, like, you can walk that way," and it's
Yeah,
like,
there's
well, if you
also the
clearly moved, like, I'd have way more room, this wouldn't be a big deal, you know? So it's like, obviously, like, that person, that type of person, I don't even really wanna engage with to begin with,
yeah.
you know? So there's
Those are
probably
the type of
something
people
right
I
there.
just swing the cart around right into their leg, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you there, standing right where I need to be going.
Oh, I know.
My
I
bad."
know.
But I also
I
get
know,
myself in a lot
man.
of trouble.
It's
So
gnarly.
I
Speaking of
would I
gnarly
would do the
things
same thing though. I would totally.
I'm
I'll be
glad.
real,
I'm
bro. I
glad that
probably wouldn't
it
even.
makes you
I'd
feel
I'd
better.
probably overthink it and be like, "What's worse, putting alcohol on the pizza and then putting it in my mouth, or dealing with a little bit of
Or you probably
dust?"
just do one of these like,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That's probably what I do. Is the or maybe like rip
It
off
looks good.
the piece that I knew
Yeah,
for
I
sure
was
hit the
thinking about
ground.
doing that, but I was like but it
But
had, like, a fat pepperoni on the end, and I was like, "I can't
yeah,
get
you
rid of
can't get rid
that."
of that, man.
You know?
That's the bite. That's the one bite. The end bite is like the one bite that's perfect. It's you're not gonna hit. A piece of it's not gonna hit the outside of your cheek or
Oh,
something
I
like
know.
that.
I
It's
know.
that one bite that is just the bite.
That's it, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you, man.
It's gnarly, but speaking of gnarly things, did you see have you seen that mountain lion video that's, like, circulating on social media of the guy that got, like, chased in, like when he was, like, walking on a trail? Basically, like, this mountain lion followed him for, like, a good 5, 6 minutes, and
Yeah,
he's, like, cursing for his life, what he feels like. He's
yeah.
like
I've
you know?
I've watched that, and I haven't got to really talk with you about it, but I talked with a couple other buddies. That one of my other buddies sent me the video, and I was talking to them about it, and it's just like so funny because first off, it's like a 6 minute video, and I usually don't
Yeah.
have that attention span, right?
No, no,
I
it was
watched that
polarizing.
whole video glued
Yeah.
because I knew he lived, but I still
Mhm.
like the whole time I'm like, dude, is this
And
guy
he
at least gonna
obviously
get like
lived if he uploaded
swatted
the footage,
once?
right?
Yeah.
So it was a good sign.
Yeah.
It was a good
But I
sign.
was like, I wonder if this guy's gonna get like swatted or something, But like, dude, to like the stuff he was saying, it's like it's funny, right? Like he's saying some pretty like random things,
Yeah.
and he's like talking to it like it's like a human being in a way. But
He's
at the
talking to
same
it almost
time,
like it's like a guy who's trying to fight him,
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like he's, like, trying to, like, yell
Yeah.
at him, like
But
like
at the same time, he even says in the video where it's like, dude, he's legit, and it's like legit. It's not him being a pussy or anything. He's legit
it
looking at
wasn't a
possible
small
death.
mountain lion
No,
either.
no, like he's
Like, that thing would've done some damage,
it
you know?
it legitimately could have killed him. So like it's
Yeah.
a guy that's in like facing death. And it's like the stuff he's saying is
Oh,
funny, but at the same time, I was like talking to my buddy, and I was like, I'm gonna be real. I'd probably be crying in that moment. So like I can't even judge this guy for
yeah.
saying the little funny things he was saying, because I'd probably be like, I got kids. Oh my god, please not right now. Like panic mode. But
Oh, I don't know if I would've just started yelling, like, "Help!" or something like that, and just
yeah,
trying to be hella
yeah,
loud,
I
you
just
know?
know that I talk a big talk, but in certain scenarios like that, I'd be
Oh,
the
yeah, you don't
biggest
know
little
what you would do.
sissy ever,
I mean, yeah, for
dude.
sure.
Especially like the few times where it like did that like jump hiss double arm
Yeah.
swipe thing, like not like that alone was terrifying, but what made it like over the top is the speed. Like, dude, that thing was laser fast.
Oh, yeah, they
Like,
are so quick.
yeah, it
Yeah,
just
but
it definitely, I feel, to anyone who watched that video, it was a big eye opener in how real mountain
well,
lions are.
for instance, like, you own cats, dude, it's like, it just as quick and nimble as your cats are, it's like, cats don't lose that quickness and that
No,
nimbility no matter
it
how big they get.
yeah, it literally. And like I have one cat who's very skittish, and there's been a couple times that I've spooked him, and he's like backed off and hissed. And I mean, the cat's this big, and even that, I'm just like, oh, like I'm backing off, like because they're so fast. It's not that I'm like scared of. It's like weird, right? It's one of those things. It's like me and spiders. It's like it's not that I'm scared that I can't beat it. It's the fact that it's so fast. I don't know where it's gonna go.
Oh,
Like is this thing
yeah.
gonna like quickly swipe at my leg, or is this thing gonna fly right at my face?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
and that's like it's the not not being able to predict where it's gonna go is what.
And you're not gonna be able to react faster than it, you
Yeah,
know?
like
So,
so and yeah, but
yes.
like watching the mountain lion, it's like that, and I was literally thinking like that. I was like, dude, this thing's literally 50 times the size of Thor. My one cat's name is Thor, and moving just as fast as him. Like
Yeah.
like it totally scaled with him. So yeah, it was
Well, it's
crazy.
interesting because it's like, it gets you thinking, like, especially, like, living here in Pacifica, it's like we've got a lot of trails and open space that people spend a lot of time in, and, there's been a lot of talk about mountain lions, over the last several years about how many mountain lion sightings there have been and the activity that's going on. I mean, I got one bone to pick about the mountain lion sightings, okay?
Mhm.
Like, I just want people to realize that, like, Like, this isn't anything new, like, it's not like, "Oh my god, mountain lions were never here before, and now they're here, and,
Yeah.
like, we have a predator on our hands, and we've got something to deal with." It's like, the reality of the situation is 25 years ago, even 10, 15 years ago, there were way less cameras than there are today.
Yeah.
Nobody had Nest cams in
Well,
their
it's like that with
backyard.
everything nowadays. I mean,
Yeah, nobody
everyone's got
had,
a camera in their
Ring
hand.
doorbells or even you didn't even have a camera on a like, you didn't whip out your Nokia 5190 when you were, like, jogging back in, like, 2002 and, like, videotape the mountain lion if you saw it, so nobody even knew, nobody even believed you if you said that you saw one.
Yeah.
But it's like nowadays, everyone's capturing it, even if it's on candid camera through, like, your little, like, your little security footage that you have around your house, and it's like, to be honest, that mountain lions were probably in your backyard for years at 3 in
Yeah.
the morning,
Yeah.
we
You
just
just
finally are
never.
catching them on film now. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not like it's a new sighting, I mean, technically it probably is, but, like, it's probably the same old activity that we've been used to, you know?
Yeah. And this one was a little unique in the sense that like it's not normal behavior. Well, it's normal behavior for the mountain lion. It's just something you don't normally see. Like normally they have no interest. They don't want anything to do with it. That's it's the fact that I guess a lot of people have missed at the beginning the cub.
Yeah, there was a cub
So
in there, so it was
it's in
protecting the predator.
100% like defense mode.
Yeah.
if the cub wasn't there, it probably would have looked at him and just been like whatever and went its own
Yeah,
way.
he probably was scared away way
Yeah,
quicker.
but the reason it did what it did is because it's protecting its cub. So,
Right, right.
but I mean, to be honest, like if you really think about it and you think about it from a real like put yourself in his shoes position, the guy handled it. I think the best anyone else could have.
Yeah, I mean, he
He
definitely didn't turn
tried
his
some
back
different
and try to
things.
run. I think if
Yeah.
he turned his back and ran, that would've been really bad.
Oh yeah, no,
It's if
he
if
would have
the thing
been
would've just,
done.
like, ran him down,
Yeah, I think
you know?
the fact that he was well, there was even a moment when he turned. I think when he originally started to turn is when it did that first like leap at him,
Yeah.
and then he didn't turn from then. And then I guess it was hard for me to pick up because I only watched it once. I didn't watch it a couple times because it was so long. But I guess at
Right.
the end he picked up rocks and threw rocks at it, and that's what scared it off. Kind of looked
Yeah, he
like
should've
that,
thought of that sooner, you know?
huh?
Yeah, I said, "Yeah, he should've thought of that sooner."
Yeah, and well, that's what like was threw me off because there was a point like halfway through it where it looked like he leaned down to pick up rocks. Maybe he went to and then it jumped at him and he backed off. But I mean
Yeah.
that obviously worked. So, but
I mean, it's just, like it's just another reminder that it's like, "Hey, it's not really our world," but, if when you're out there and you're gonna go for a hike, like, use the buddy system, like go with someone, because you're more likely not to get attacked if there's 2 people, or if you get spotted, they're gonna leave you alone if there's more than 1 person, and that's why me, like when I go run, it's like I love trails, but like I don't want to run on them by myself. If something happens or I break an ankle or twist something, it's like there's nobody that's gonna help me, or I might have to wait here 25 minutes for somebody else to walk by if that's even gonna happen.
yeah,
So yeah, but when you just go along city streets, you can do that by yourself because you see a lot of people. You can flag someone down if you need to. Your cell phone's gonna get reception no matter what, so you can call somebody. So word to the wise.
yeah,
Mountain lions are still a serious thing out there. Not all of them live at the zoo.
yeah, and it's a good reminder that just a lot of animals in general. Like I briefly told you the other day about like the whole killer whale thing in Spain. I know probably not too many if any of our viewers know this, but my wife actually sent this to me. I watched the documentary Blackfish. I think it was from like 2000 or something. It's really old. But it's basically a documentary it's on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
So I already told you, but anyone else that's listening, I definitely worth the I think like hour and a half to watch it. It's a documentary on killer whales in captivity at SeaWorld and like just how they're how poorly they're taken care of and them
Yeah.
how smart they are and how they like strategically planned attacks um the trainers and things like that. So she sent me the story because she knew like it just really made me so fascinated with killer whales because they're brilliant animals to the point where humans don't even fully understand them and how they communicate and things like that.
Yeah.
But I guess right now there's an issue off the coast of Spain somewhere where there's a highly populated killer whale area that there's been like a lot of fishing and stuff going on, and the killer whales have turned to like revenge mode and have been orchestrating these like high level attacks on boats. And it's and they're what but what's fascinating about it is if you Google it, you can find there's a bunch of different articles on it, but this one it goes in detail how they specifically go after the rudders of the boat because they know that'll disable the boat. And there's been a couple of these attacks that they've been orchestrated. They're synchronized with each other. They're communicating. There's like a person
Yeah.
in this interview explains like hearing them communicate, like you could totally tell that they're telling each other what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and it's like ear piercing, right?
Yeah, oh, yeah. They're
And then like
massive animals
there,
too.
yeah, and there's a couple boats that the attacks lasted. One was like 45 minutes. One was just over an hour. They destroyed the rudders of the boat. One, they totally destroyed the engine of the boat. And it's just like,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they could totally capsize these things if they wanted to,
yeah, there
yeah?
was one of the one sections in the story is telling like they actually got a boat onto its side to like it would
Oh,
like
yeah?
inches
Damn.
from capsizing, right? But it just goes like just to go back to you like your comment you're saying like we're living in their world. It's very true in a lot of scenarios, especially with ocean animals more so than I think land animals because we unfortunately have the power to really push animals out if we want to, but ocean is very different. But
Get
like
out in the ocean,
yeah,
that's for sure.
it was just really a fascinating read. 'Cause it just goes to show that these are like massive animals that are really like they're on our level of like brain capability. The only difference
Oh,
is they just don't have, the hands and things to be able to do what we do, but how they work in the water and everything is it's just really fascinating. And I just think it's just something that anyone that has any kind of interest in animals or sea animals or whatever, if you do it like if you just do a little reading on killer whales, they're just fascinating creatures and they're truly are terrifying creatures if you especially like once you watch
yeah, I mean,
Blackfish,
they can't
it's
live up to the name for sure as a
oh
killer
yeah,
whale. They
absolutely.
certainly live up to the
Absolutely.
name, but they can also be they're not as terrifying as sharks potentially, like, sharks are just aggressive all the time
Yeah.
versus these have been able to be, let's say, like, at SeaWorld and letting people get near them and things like that, so they're
Yeah.
smart enough to understand that
Yeah.
and have that relationship,
I
but they're
think
also smart enough to understand that that's not a natural relationship for them, and I don't think that they're valuing that one any longer, you know?
yeah, and I think that's what I love about them, and that's what I think makes them such a deadly animal is the fact that they understand that, and they really
Yeah.
do, and like the science is out there, it's proven it, with how they
Like, think
react,
about
how
it,
they,
they come up to somebody at, like, San Diego SeaWorld and be like they're smiling, but they're like, "I have the ability to kill you
oh
right
yeah,
now."
yeah, and
You know?
that's like if you really watch that documentary, like the way they explain it and everything, it's like they wait and wait. Like they're kept in like these little like these are massive animals that
Oh,
they travel hundreds of miles and they
a
keep them
day.
in these little like honestly like they're like the size of like the big dumpsters, you know? Like
Yeah.
one whale, like they can't do anything, no movement overnight. It's like they they uh they just like build up that aggression, but it's
They're
like
just
the patience they have. Like if you watch Blackfish, they do such a good job of explaining it and everything, but like they wait for the perfect opportunity when they know they can fuck this thing up, and they've manhandled a few trainers, and then like the build up to it, which is not like a spoiler, but is this one certain whale that was from one kind of hokey little SeaWorld wannabe ended up, brutalizing a trainer, got shipped to SeaWorld, brutalized a trainer, and then got shipped to like another SeaWorld and ended up actually killing a trainer. Like it had a track history of being
yeah,
this
yeah.
like, but it's crazy, like, cause it's like everyone to the public eye built it up as like this super aggressive whale. But like when you get the facts from the actual trainers that trained them, like it's just a whale that had like nowhere they never gave it the right room and it's just trying to
Yeah.
like get the fuck out,
Trying to tell you that it doesn't wanna be there is
Yeah.
what it is,
Yeah.
you know? It's
So
like,
it's
should've
just
just returned it to the wild instead of putting it into another tank. It's like a
Yeah.
different thing isn't gonna make a difference, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you, the documentary, it's gut wrenching. It's really it's a tough pill to swallow when you see like a lot of it. It's like I even got like a little choked up watching something because it's just like it's really like legit animal cruelty.
Oh, I
Um,
know.
to the point where
Yeah, it is.
it's kind of messed up. But when you get to that end, you're kind of like there's that little part inside of you. It's like get that motherfucker, you know. But at the same time, you're like it's hard because it's totally like the business of SeaWorld, like the trainers, like you can tell like it's legit through the documentary. Like they truly cared for the animals.
Mhm.
They're just dumb, and they even admitted they're just like they just weren't knowledgeable. They ate the information that the owners of SeaWorld fed them, the bullshit on like, oh, they're, whatever, like they'd feed them like, oh, they're really not smart or and there's some stuff you got to watch. It's been a while since I watched it, but it's like, the people pocketing all the money are feeding lies, and it's like the trainers are like these young kids that they're trained up. They just want to be involved with the animals, and they have a
Right.
love. It's not like the trainers. It's just the trainers kind of being young and dumb and not knowing the
You
real
gotta
facts
educate
behind
people.
the animals.
Yeah.
So like the one trainer that ended up dying was actually like apparently like an absolutely amazing person, just wrong place, wrong time kind of situation.
Yeah, you know, that animal that day was you were did not make it happy, I bet. So,
Yeah, but
it is.
yeah, just crazy that there are animals. Like we live in a world where we have computers in our pockets, and
Yeah.
we build buildings that are 100 stories tall, and but there's still these animals that you come face to face with it and you're dead.
Yeah,
There's
we
nothing you can
can
do.
we're very smart and we think we have the answers to a lot of things, but there's still a lot of things we're never gonna have answers to, is
Yeah,
what it comes down to, and you're not gonna be able to predict what other living things are gonna do, no matter how much you study them or learn them or whatever. It's like they have a mind of their own,
yeah,
and you need to be careful, you know?
yep,
Another example, like, even around here, a small simple to, like, the mountain lions, like deer, I feel like, are so domesticated nowadays that, like, them walking like, they were here before us, and then now we've got, city streets and all that stuff and through their old stomping grounds, right? And they walk down the middle of the street out here,
yeah,
and like it's no big deal. Like on the sidewalk, they just turn and look at you. You know what I mean? It's like I got out of my truck one time with a pizza, and like I swear to God, one turned and followed me like to the driveway. Like I'm like, dude, like it kind of freaking me out for a
yeah,
second. Like it's almost like he wanted to bite, but it's like they're almost getting domesticated to the point where it's like I don't know if the mountain lions are saying, like, maybe we are having more sightings because they're seeing more people and they're being more curious?
yeah,
I don't know, you know?
yeah.
But
It's
then again, it's
funny.
like, is it just more cameras or is there actual more curiosity? Maybe it's both. I
Yeah,
don't know.
it's funny you say that because I saw a video on Instagram the other day. I think it was posted by it was either Bleacher Report or ESPN, but it was these people golfing, and they were like on
Yeah,
the
yeah.
green, and a deer just like walked up out of nowhere and like was standing over the hole, and like
Yeah.
like literally feet from him to the point where like I think it was a girl. She putted like through the deer's legs and was like petting the deer and stuff, and I'm just like it's like really cool, but at the same time like you don't
Yeah.
know anything about like it had big ass antlers. It's like
Well, and
that
deers
one
have been
buck
known
and
to,
you're
like, poke
freaking
you and stuff like that too, like yeah, it could get
yeah.
really ugly real fast with a deer,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like I was just watching it like it's just one of those videos where you're watching and you're like, this is gonna end really cute or this is gonna end really bad, you know?
Well, especially on Barstool Sports, there's no in between.
Yeah.
If there was an in between, they wouldn't put it on there. It's
Yeah.
like there gotta be one extreme or the other,
Yeah.
right?
So
So,
the video cut with them like petting the deer, grabbing the ball and like, going their separate ways. But it was just it's
dude,
just one of those things you're just like, "Ooh, I don't know." One
I
fault,
know.
you touch that thing on one spot it didn't wasn't expecting, and you're getting an antler through the eye socket or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, no, that's for
Just
sure, for
wild
sure.
animals are wild animals for a reason, So
Yeah, there's a lot of unknowns there.
yeah,
Yeah. Speaking of unknowns, there's a lot of unknowns going on right now in the world of sports. Uh,
yeah,
there's a lot of unknowns as it pertains to the, San Francisco 49ers and where they're headed. There's a lot of unknowns in terms of, are we gonna have a week 18 of the NFL season with makeup games and,
I know.
you know, COVID related issues, or games just going to be, or some teams not going to play 16 games, like it's getting weird out there, and it's definitely, as a fan and a fan of things like fantasy football, it's really throwing a wrench into things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree that the fantasy football stuff is weird. I mean, I appreciate at least. I mean, we play through Yahoo. I'm sure ESPN is very similar, and the other ones like they're doing their part and they're making calls and making adjustments to do their best. But these like delayed games, like we had a game on Tuesday night that like threw everything back when the fantasy football world
Yeah.
today. But just in the football side, like it's crazy with the outbreaks, and then so not to get political, but there's this was mind blowing to me. I don't know if you saw this, but it's like I guess the head NFL doctor person was questioned about possibly going into a bubble for
Mhm.
playoffs, and they're like
Right.
no, like it's like a hard no. It's like, are you stupid? Like you must
Yeah.
be stupid because it worked flawlessly for the NBA, like literally
Oh, yeah.
flawlessly.
Not
And
a
we
not
are
a
about
single issue, you
we're
know?
literally about a week to 2 weeks away if it keeps going the way it's going from the NFL just having to stop. Like it's
Well, I
getting
mean,
kind of wild.
the biggest issue with the bubble scenario for the NFL is just the sheer numbers,
Yeah.
right? It's like, it's like they can't do the bubble right now because, as it stands, you dress 45 guys every game day. But then you've got, however many guys that didn't dress that are actual athletes, and then you count in all the coaching staff and support staff that are necessary. That any given away game, a team is traveling with 200 plus people, almost 250 people.
Yeah.
And so your bubble is going to be massive if you're going to have 32 teams by 200, 250 people, right?
Hmm.
And even in a playoff scenario where you're going to have, let's say, like, they opened it up, so what are they going to have, 14 teams or 16 teams
I
this
think it's
year?
16.
So 16 teams, that's half. So we're
Yeah.
only cutting that number in half. That's still a massive bubble,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And I,
And
I
so
get that. I know like it's literally each team is at least 4 times the size of a basketball team, but I feel like it truly comes down to the one simple question. Do you want to play or do you want to cancel the season?
I
I
mean,
mean, and we all
my
know how the
opinion,
NFL is, right? With money. Like
yeah.
any way they can get a single dollar, they're gonna go for it. So it's like I feel like they're just rolling the dice right now to where we're getting dangerously close to where it's gonna be a possibility where this season just shuts down.
I mean, definitely, definitely. But I mean, if I was a team owner, or GM or something like that, that made some operational decisions on how we're going to operate and how we're going to keep ourselves safe and fight this thing, is you got to take it upon yourself to create at least a team bubble, on a weekly basis as much as possible, and get everybody to buy into what it is you're doing as a team. Now, I know that there's an element to that,
Yeah.
but everyone is still going home at the end of the night. They're still going to their families. And guess what? Your family is probably still going out that day shopping or go to the grocery store or whatever the case may be. So, now the exposure factor just has its trickle down effect. So, and it's tough. It's like you can't tell people for the entirety of the season to stay away from your family, or you're going to come live over here and then say goodbye to your family and you'll see them in, 15 more weeks.
Yeah.
But you almost need to. It's like you almost need to be like, "Okay, here's our practice facility. We're gonna live out of the Howard Johnson that's across the street," and just be like, "That's gonna be headquarters for the entire season." If you guys wanna play and have our best players available every Sunday, this is what we're gonna have to do. And we're just gonna have to, like, it's gonna feel like training camp for the entire year. It's like maybe on some off days, this and that, you guys can go do some things with family limitedly or whatever the case may be, but if we're gonna do this, I need everybody to buy in. We need to do this as a team.
Yeah.
We need to batten down the hatches. We need to cut out all the potential possibilities for exposure or this and that. we'll feed you guys. We'll get some different chefs in here. We'll do some good stuff. Like, yeah, like we'll get some entertainment. Like we'll do whatever it takes. But this is gonna be our time to buckle down and win a championship. And that's how you got to sell it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you're gonna keep people safe on Sunday.
And I think it has a lot that it's a great point, Dan. It has a lot to do with, like, I get that they're getting tested like crazy, right? But like we still to this day, there's so much unknown with COVID, right? Like you could
Testing
test
is just a
today.
knowledge factor. It's like if you're not doing the things like in your daily life that's cutting down the possibilities of you contracting the disease, then you getting tested every day doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It's like
But
sometimes people are getting tested. Oh, I keep doing this thing and keep coming up negative. I'm just gonna keep doing it.
yeah. But
You know?
that's the thing is like I mean there's been how many stories about, false positives, false negatives. So where it's like we're in a situation where you get a false negative, right?
Yeah.
And then they don't get tested for 2 days. How many people are they in contact with over those 2 days? And then
Right.
2 days later they get tested positive. It's like, well, when 2 days ago were they positive 2 days ago? Or even so, like, they get tested right there on the spot and they're negative. They walk out the door and they say, "Hey, what's up?" Face to face with someone that's positive, and they don't get
Yeah.
tested for 2 days. It's like it's
Yeah.
there's just too many what ifs, um, to
Oh
where
yeah.
it just and
Unknowns.
it's really starting to show with these because the outbreaks that we're seeing, it's not one, two, three, four, five people. It's 20 people. Like
Yeah.
the Titans got hammered, the Patriots got hammered.
It's
Uh,
kinda like how like the thing in football where they always say like, "Oh, the eye in the sky doesn't lie." Like, you can't lie. Like, once it's on film, like, your mistakes are gonna show, like,
mhm,
what you did on Sunday. So it's kinda the same thing, right? The testing isn't gonna lie. So like we're gonna get the one or two positive tests that happened that sparked this whole thing, but don't think that that's where this is gonna end. It's
yeah,
like once we do our round of testing tomorrow, we'll probably get 3 or 4 more, and then we'll probably get 5 or 6 more after that. Like that's just the nature of this disease, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it like whether or not these teams are acting like little bubbles or not. You're seeing that it can infiltrate the bubble and it will spread exactly how you've been told that it will spread.
yeah,
And it's like case in point.
yeah,
It's like,
and
you have to take the precautions seriously.
yeah, and I get that that we're talking about the most in shape, healthy people, like the people that are getting positives. We're seeing the stories and stuff. Oh, I feel fine, all that, and it is
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
But it's not
Very
about them. It's about the people that I mean.
but you're still
I'm not going to
positive,
say
and
any
there's
names,
still
but
there's
look at the
still yeah,
coaches. There are a couple coaches out there that fit the bill for a death sentence with COVID, the obesity, the age,
yeah,
things like
yeah, I
that.
mean,
And it's like it's not
I know.
necessarily the players that are the concerning ones. Like majority of the players, if not all the players, they're probably going to catch COVID and not even realize it. But it's
Yeah,
the
well,
other
like
people in those locker rooms that are not you know built like a football player that they come in
yeah.
contact that are the ones that are going to be the ones that really it
Well, there's a
hurts.
lot of staff members, like assistant coaches, guys have been around the league for so long that are in their 70s. I mean, Pete
Hmm.
Carroll's 69, and it's
Yeah,
like you got, Andy Reid's in his 60s, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Andy's a big
Belichick.
guy, Belichick, it's like,
Hmm.
these guys burn
Even
the midnight
people on
oil,
the
they're
other
not like
side,
the
like
epitome of health either?
yeah, and that's the thing is like it's I guess the most common things is elderly people and obese people. Well,
Right.
I mean, with all due respect, phenomenal coach in person. Andy Reid is not a small person. Like I'm sure
Or a young one.
yeah. I mean, so he's got two things against him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, that's why he's
um,
got the sweet face shield. You see that thing?
yeah, yeah. And people clowning on him, and I'm sitting there like,
I'm
this
like, "This
guy's the
guy's an
smartest one of
idiot,"
all of you. You
'cause
know?
everybody else keeps pulling their fucking mask down because they don't wanna wear it. Well, he's like, "Well, if you're gonna make me wear something, at least I'm gonna wear something that, like, is not gonna affect me,"
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that which is and especially with football players, like I don't think it's a secret. Football players are majority of people that are not, they grow up in, really shitty areas. They get good.
Yeah.
They don't always necessarily think bigger picture, which is, not a shot at them, not saying stupid or anything, but just they're raised in an environment where you kind of are forced to think for yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a trait. I carry that trait because of how I was raised. It's like it's a
Right.
defensive mechanism where you have to think for yourself. So that's what they do, and then they get this money, and that's why they start buying the jewelry and stuff. Is because they're still living that mindset of like me, 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 me.
Well, me and in my world, this is what it looks like if you have money,
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. So
So I need to get those things so people will know that I have my money, you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
So,
And that's where the problem lies. The problem is it's a combination of people not thinking of their surrounding environments, not taking it seriously, or
yeah.
they get it and they think just because they're Superman, everyone else is Superman. Um, and here we are.
No,
But
I'm with you. I'm with
outside of that, I did want to touch on some other things in football that are more typical to how football is, but are still fun things that are wild. The first one is I mean, Tannehill. Tannehill.
yeah.
This is a guy that spent like I feel like it was 10 years or something crazy in Miami as just kind of an average guy, and here he comes over to Tennessee and he's looking like a Tom Brady, miniature Tom Brady right now.
I
Like,
mean, it's amazing what a change of scenery will do,
yeah,
and it happens a lot in professional sports, where guys have a resume to where they should be performing to a certain degree, they're not delivering on that promise, and they look like a bust, the team gives up on them,
yeah,
and then they land somewhere else, and you're like, "Oh, yeah, he really is a good player, we knew he was great the whole time," you know? It's like, "That's why we traded for him," you know? But
yeah,
it's interesting, man, and I mean, I think the good thing, the silver lining here for Ryan Tannehill, I don't think it's I mean, it doesn't really have anything else to do with Ryan Tannehill, but I have a prediction that this is gonna be the formula for a lot of guys that were drafted high that didn't really work out. Case in point, Sam Darnold,
yep,
you know? It's like, here you got a guy who first round draft pick, going to a terrible team, a historically terrible team. It's not doing well, struggling because the team's doing well, gets benched, and now it's like it's looking like he's a bust, and the Jets are probably looking to trade him or do whatever. And it's just like, okay, fine, but like Ryan Tannehill was in that same situation,
yeah,
and how many quarterbacks got drafted after him, you know, and like for the Miami Dolphins, it's like this same thing can happen, and you don't think that there's another team out there like the Titans that are thinking about like, "Yeah, we could need a quarterback, and what about Sam Darnold? What about the Niners? What if the Niners are looking to get Sam Darnold because they're not happy with their current situation?" But
yeah,
not saying they are, you know, it's like
yeah,
they could be shopping, but I mean, you never know. You never know.
yeah, yeah. But the one thing I will say is it's really fun to see. Ryan Tannehill has, from what I've seen, always looked to be a stand up guy.
Yeah.
Um, Especially fun watching him. He's got that goofy kid smile on his face because he's killing it. It's funny to see. So I like seeing stuff like that. It's kind of like that. It's a kind of like a nice revenge story, but not really like a revenge story.
Well, it reminds me a
Comeback
lot
story
of
in a way, I guess.
really kinda reminds me a lot of, sort of the career trajectory that Alex Smith had
Yeah,
in a way where it's like he reminds me a lot of Alex Smith, not necessarily their style of play, but, like, the hype that he originally
yeah,
had, high draft pick, supposed to be a good dude. Okay, everybody loves him. He's doing okay, but the team still sucks, you know, dealt with some injuries. We drafted some new guys. Now there's quarterback competition, controversy, yada, yada, yada. Fast forward, we trade him to the Tennessee Titans. Niners traded him to the Kansas City Chiefs. Alex Smith has a lot of success with the Kansas City Chiefs. Ryan Tannehill's having tons of success with the Titans. I
yeah,
mean, it's like it's a very similar format, and seldom do guys get a second chance like that. A lot
yeah,
of times, people just give up on them and they wash out, you know, really, really quickly. So,
yeah,
and I think he definitely turned something into a very profitable, situation that he was given last
yeah.
year. I mean, definitely signed a nice contract
Yeah,
to
he's got the contract is solid. It's turning out to be a really fair contract for both sides right now. And I think the
Mhm.
big thing for me from watching it and everything I don't think it's a fluke. I think this is really what he is, and is just now that he has some tools, he's got some solid receivers, he's got a decent
It's
offensive
all squad,
line.
you know?
Like he has the tools he needs to just be him, and him being him is now finally shining through to a good quarterback. And as long as those tools stay
Yeah.
around him, I think that this stretch in his contract is gonna go all the way through to the end. It's gonna be a nice relationship between the team and him,
Oh, yeah.
and the high possibility of a championship or two. I mean
Yeah.
they really have the build and tools. They're what 4-0 right now. I mean
I think they're 5-0. I
there's
think
a
they're
5-0,
5-0.
but
And they just
I
beat
mean and
they just won last night, so I
yeah,
think they're 5-0.
that's the thing that makes me feel like the potential for the championship is last night they played a team that is a good team. The Bills are a good team right
Yeah,
now, and
absolutely.
they worked them. They absolutely worked them.
You
And
gotta remember too,
I'm
they
not
had
just
a
talking
team.
about Henry's stiff
Yeah,
arm of the century
they
as a
dominated the whole game.
whole.
They dominated the whole.
They just worked them in every aspect of that game, man.
But you gotta remember, even going back to last year when the Titans were in the playoffs and they were up 3 touchdowns on the
Yeah.
Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, so it's like the Niners could have very well been playing the Titans in the Super Bowl, and they probably should have been
Yeah.
had, I mean, I don't know, was it Patrick Mahomes' magical Air Jordan like play, or was it the fact that Tennessee Titans kinda shit a brick in the second half, or was it a combination of both? Probably a combination of both,
Yeah.
It's like you've got a team who probably celebrated a little early,
Yeah.
while the other team clawed their way back into the game, and they found themselves on the losing end,
Yeah.
So, you know, hopefully they don't I'm sure they're probably kicking themselves about it, and that's probably why they're off to a 5-0 start, and they're gonna make sure it doesn't happen again?
Yeah.
So, we'll
No,
see what
absolutely.
happens, man. The
Yeah.
Tennessee Titans are a fun team to watch right now. They
Yeah,
really
they
are.
are. No, they got some good players. They got some energetic players. That the Henry stiff arm was just comical.
It
Um,
never gets old, dude.
well,
Those
it's also the icing on the cake when the stiff arm was to who it was. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
when
I mean,
when it's
with
to
Josh Norman, it's like,
what
I
yeah,
like
one of the
that.
best.
You're
He
able
really
to put him on his ass and in his place.
yeah. I mean,
Oh,
he is by far one of the best corners of all time. Like I think that's a fair argument to say he's definitely a top
he's
one.
definitely in the top 5 of the game right now,
Yeah,
which is saying a lot,
but
so
he's also known to have a bit of a mouth, so that's what makes it fun. It's like
yeah,
it's the same thing like with Conor McGregor, right? Like deep down you like Conor McGregor and you like to see him talk his talk and walk the walk, but it's that much
exactly.
funner to see him talk the talk and then get burnt, you know? Like
Oh,
it's the
yeah.
same thing. So to see Josh Norman get thrown to another galaxy is funny. It was funny to see.
Well, it's
Um,
like the same thing, like, if LeBron James is gonna dunk on Draymond Green, it's like we all love Draymond Green for how outspoken he is and
yeah.
whatnot, but it's like, people who hate Draymond Green are really gonna,
Oh
like, be
yeah.
so thankful that he just got dunked on in that moment and,
Yeah.
like, got put in his place, right?
Yeah.
So, that's what it is.
Um, two more that I just thought were kind of fun from this week. One, uh,
Let's hear it.
this is 100% me, and I'm fine with that. In my book, hands down one of the top comebacks of all time. Alex Smith getting a live game snap.
Oh, yeah.
So cool to see,
I mean,
man.
you
Like,
hear the announcers "Do we even need to vote comeback player of the year?" Goes Alex Smith,
I mean,
Like
he could not play
yeah.
another down the rest of the season.
Dude, the fact that he like, okay, we were all thinking like, "Oh, like, maybe they'll just give him, like, 1 snap this year,"
Yeah,
but, like, the guy comes in and backup form and plays a whole a half plus of
yeah,
football, like,
and
and
did
did
good,
great,
and did good.
Like,
Like,
took a couple hits, got tackled a couple of times, and, like, everything's good,
yeah. But I
you know?
just, man, if
Modern
you
medicine at its
look at that
finest.
picture of his leg when they cut out all the infected area, and
Yeah.
then watch that first snap, I don't care who you are in the world. If you don't get a little dust in your eye for a split second, there's something wrong with you. 'Cause that is
Yeah.
just what a story, man. And especially for someone like him who, I mean, we know as Niner fans, he's just taken hit after hit, and you know what he does? He stands up and smiles every single time. Like, talk about like
I mean,
one of the
he's a true
most
professional, and I know that's cliche to say also, but it's like, I mean, this guy just put his head down, he worked
I mean,
endlessly, he wanted something more than anything, and when you want something that badly and you'll put in the time and effort, good things are gonna happen to you, you know?
got drafted to a garbage team, played through, I think it's something crazy like 4 or 5 head coaches, 7 offensive coordinators, never got the opportunity he deserved to be successful.
Right,
Finally gets under Harbaugh and
right.
oh, what was the offensive coordinator? Shit.
Vic Fangio is a defensive
Yeah.
coordinator.
Oh, I forget his name, but it doesn't matter. Gets a head coach and an offensive
Greg Roman?
coordinator.
Greg Roman?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Um, Gets under a head coach and an offensive coordinator that are offense and quarterback specialists.
Right.
Work with him, get him to finally be the quarterback we all were hoping he would be, which was one of those guys was never not there. He just never had the opportunity to actually show what he was.
Yeah, he was
Finally gets
changing
it.
systems every year and, like, you know, and, like, new people like, he didn't have the same people all the time around him, whether
Yeah.
they're coaches or players. It's like, it's hard for anyone to be successful with that much inconsistency going
Yep.
on.
Um, Finally gets the season where he's just solid. He's killing it. He's, bringing the team to the championship, gets injured, gets replaced by Kaepernick. And you know what he does? Stands there with a smile on his face, supports Kaepernick, even though we all
Or
know it was not fair. They should have put him back in. I mean, I jumped on the Kaepernick bandwagon too. I'm not trying to say, I didn't. I jumped on the Kaepernick bandwagon. It was fun to see. The
oh,
dude was
yeah, like,
fun
a
to
lot of people
watch at the start.
do.
But the reality is, when Smith was healthy, they probably should have switched back to him. I truly do believe, looking back at it, that we would have won that championship if Alex Smith was starting for us. That's just my
Well, but
personal opinion. I know it's debatable.
yeah, it's totally debatable, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but,
Yeah.
I mean, there's an old sort of unwritten rule that, like, you never lose your job to injury, but he lost his job to injury,
Yeah.
you
So
know, and like like Tyrod Taylor this year lost his job to injury.
that is the most effed
Yeah.
up lost job to injury that'll ever go down in the history books. And we can get to that in a second. But I want to get
If
through
I'm
this because
Tyrod Taylor, I'm filing a grievance right now. I'm
oh
filing a
yeah,
grievance on the fact that, like, whatever your medical staff that fucked this up, like, just took me away from being a starting quarterback.
yeah,
Because if this doesn't happen, I'm starting, and what if I play good and he's still on the bench and I'm getting paid money, 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 money,
yeah.
you know?
No, that's a monstrous, crazy story on its own. Um,
Yeah. For those of you who
so
don't know, Tyrod Taylor got a lung punctured by a syringe while getting administered a painkilling agent and punctured his lung and could no longer play football for at least 2 weeks.
yeah,
Hence, rookie Justin Herbert starts, goes off, and the Chargers are not looking back. Go on.
yes, the puncture by the team doctor. The team doctor.
Yes. I just wonder how much money Justin Herbert's dad paid him to do that.
Apparently enough that he'll get reimbursed by the contract Herbert's looking like he's going to be getting
Exactly.
pretty soon here.
Exactly.
So,
Here you go, Dad. Here you
oh
go, Dad.
man. So gets replaced by Kaepernick. Kaepernick, even though Smith started majority of the season, is the reason for the record. Kaepernick is known as the one to bring them to the Super Bowl. They lose the
Well, and
Super
it was
Bowl, but
tough
still,
too because, like, you know, as the Niners were heading into the playoffs, and then obviously that crazy game they had against the Green Bay Packers in the NFC Championship, like things were going extraordinarily well even with Kaepernick. Like they
yeah,
were even going beyond what they were with Alex Smith to where it's like, okay, it really looks like you made the right decision here.
yeah,
Like
and that's
like
why it's
you're
like
not gonna
he
think
can't.
about starting a new guy now in the Super Bowl, you know?
Yeah, and that's why like the Green Bay Packer game and the Patriot game both were like you can't go back. You
No.
really can't when this guy just basically destroys the two most elite quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah.
It's hard to go back. Um,
Right.
so ends the season, gets shipped to Kansas City, starts off great, doing great, does this thing. Mahomes gets drafted. Mahomes,
Well, it was the other thing though too, but as soon as like he would do great for the Kansas City in the regular season, but they couldn't win the playoff game with him,
yeah, yeah,
and then it was and then they drafted Mahomes and the future was
yeah.
evident.
So basically, kind of the same story with the Chiefs as the Niners. And what does he do? Supports Mahomes. Stands up, supports
Oh,
Mahomes
yeah.
on camera, supports Mahomes off camera. Mahomes' father has come out and said Mahomes wouldn't be who he is today if it wasn't for Alex Smith and what he did for his son, which I think is very believable.
But not to cut you off, like, for the 12th time, but, like, my point like, another thing another thing about, like, about Alex Smith, it's like, if I'm Alex Smith, and I'm sure you think the same way, it's like, does it do you any favors to sit back and be a dick?
Yeah, no,
No.
it doesn't. I mean, he's still
It's
getting paid.
not gonna make the team that made you 2nd string wanna make you 1st string again,
Yeah,
and it's certainly gonna make it hard for anybody else to think that you're the type of guy that I want leading my team. So
yeah,
you might as well show some leadership qualities, suck it up, have some pride, and, like, basically, the way you carry yourself from here on out is auditioning for your next job.
yeah. And I think
Really.
that's why it was so easy for Washington to trade. It was a trade for him, I believe.
They
Um,
traded for him, but then they also signed him to an extension.
yeah,
Like, in that 1st year, they signed him for an extension, I
that's
think
right.
I think either before the season started or, like, shortly thereafter, and and, um, and then that was the year that he got hurt also, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
So basically, I'm drawing it out just to explain like the guy has been through the ringer when it comes to the quarterback position. Mahomes comes in, takes over, he gets shipped to Washington, gets his leg obliterated. Surgery perfectly legit, all things getting, fixed, it's going to be fine. This standard, year recovery, all good to go. And then boom, hit with the infection that literally eats half of his leg off. Like
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
And like there's something about that picture. Like I think the world, even he could agree, he shouldn't have that leg. And here he
yeah.
is, starting or not starting, but yet, but coming in to a real game. Like it is a story for the ages, a comeback story that will live the test of time. Like it just and it's just it's cool that it's a comeback story to a guy that you can be excited about. It's not some scumbag, some dirty ass player.
Oh, for
It's
sure,
it's a
for
good,
sure.
humble, legit person. And I think
Well,
that's what makes it so cool to me.
the type of person, like, I don't know this for sure at all, I have no information on this whatsoever, but I can guarantee you that Alex Smith has already called Dak Prescott.
Yeah, so he actually he was on a radio show yesterday. He hasn't and I quote he said, "I don't want to scare the shit out of him." But he I guess he's what his plan is to just wait till after the infection threat is passed and then he's going to reach out to him.
So I wanna talk
Um
about the infection threat of Dak Prescott. So if anybody else doesn't know out there, Dak Prescott just suffered a massive injury, very similar to what Alex Smith had, where compound fracture, bone broke through the skin, major surgery, major recovery necessary, yada,
mhm,
yada, yada. So as I'm watching some of the footage, I didn't watch it live, but as I'm watching some of the footage of Dak getting, like, carted off the field, I noticed some details about the situation, and I'm just like, I'm not sure if that was the best decision because when you think back to Alex Smith's situation, what was the thing that caused the biggest problem? The infection, right?
it was they think it was the like blow up cast or whatever, right?
Well,
Something like that.
Infection comes from bacteria, and bacteria can come from
Yeah.
anywhere. So the problem being is like when Alex Smith's injury, the bone broke through the skin. So they're thinking like, was there something on the field or in that environment that he picked up,
Yeah.
and was that the thing that they didn't know was caused the pathogen that was causing the infection? And after the first surgery of the night that went really really well, now we're covering it up and it's growing underneath what we've used to cover it up and we don't notice it until we take it away. So as I'm watching Dak get like carted off the field, do you notice that they put the blow up cast around him, and they already cut like his shoe off and his sock off, and you can see his toes sticking out. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the fucking stupidest thing you've ever done.
Yeah.
You should have just left it in there and take him to the hospital
Yep.
and then do all that shit.
Yeah.
'Cause
And
now look at it, because if especially if the bone came through, like, you just exposed everything.
yeah. Yeah, I agree 100%. And I know like the argument is going to be swelling, the foot swelling and things like that. But I mean, you're talking about minutes to get him
Yeah.
from the cart even to just
I'm
in
sure
the
they've been
ambulance.
taken to,
Do what you
like,
need to
in,
do in the
like, locker room
ambulance.
too,
Yeah.
you know?
But no, yeah, I saw that. I saw the toes and yeah, I actually thought almost the exact same thing. Yeah, I was just like, "Oh, damn, they're just
Mhm,
opening
mhm.
it all up right here." Okay. Well, so
Yeah, because,
um
I mean, I'm sure they knew there was bone coming out,
yeah, oh yeah, I'm
it's
sure. So I
like
watched it a few times. That so you transitioned. That was the other. I actually have there's two left I want to briefly touch on, but this was one that the Dak Prescott injury. I watched it a few times, and you know what was weird to me. I don't know what. I mean, we probably will never know. Maybe we will, but did you catch that he rolled over and then he like lifted his leg up and then like stomped it into the ground? Like it was kind of interesting, and I'm just kind of curious, like what was going through his head. Like, did he think like it was his shoe? Like he was like in shock, and he thought like his
yeah,
shoe
he
had came
probably had
off, and he
no
was trying to just
feeling
like
in
pop
that.
his
He
shoe
probably
back
had
on
no
or
feeling
something.
in that split second. He probably
Yeah,
had, like, because like, when you have a major injury, it's like, you heard it and you think you know what just happened, but, like, the real pain doesn't really sit in for,
yeah,
like, maybe 30 seconds down the road, you
yeah.
know?
But I
You know?
watched it a few times, and I'm like, damn, that probably fucked some shit up too.
It's like, you gotta remember too, like, the tears that he had, that's probably when the pain was really
Oh
starting
yeah,
to come in,
yeah,
at the same time. It's
yeah,
like, not as much as he's starting to realize that his season's over, and the fact that he signed a fucking franchise tag deal, which I'll get into, which I fucking
yeah,
hate the franchise tag. It's like, it's basically like, "Oh, we'll pay you for 1 year, even though it's a high money, but you have no guarantee for anything after this."
yeah,
So it's like, go ahead and risk your life and get this fucking injury like you just got, Dak Prescott, and I don't have to pay you a dime next year, you know?
yeah, yeah.
It's fucked up.
Let's go into that, and then I can bring up my last little fun
I mean, that's all I
funkiness.
needed to go into it.
Okay.
It's just
No,
but
that's a good point. I mean, and
I will say that the CBA, like, I thought that they were gonna fix this, but, like, so before this year, the CBA met to, like, do a new agreement, and I thought that the franchise tag was gonna be revised as part of this agreement. I don't know if COVID and all that other shit got in the way of this,
yeah,
because I
probably
thought
did.
they were gonna get away from the franchise tag to where they couldn't do that shit anymore,
Yeah,
because it's like you should let people experience free agency and not, like, tag them. It's like, "No, you can't do free agency. If you play for us for a one-year deal, you'll get paid a really good amount of money, but you can't test the market." It's like, that's fucked up.
yeah.
That is fucked up.
Well,
It
I mean,
should
it's
be that
it's
you can test the
sickening.
market, but if you re-sign with us, here's the minimum that we have to pay you. That's
Yeah,
what it should be,
I like that
you know?
because I mean, it's sinister as fuck, but the reality is Jerry Jones right now is probably sitting there just like, "Whew, dodge that bullet. Now I don't have to worry about next year." You know?
So I know you're not like a big NBA like, you're not too into the NBA, but the NBA has called what's called max players, right?
Hmm.
And so many teams can have so many max players, and that's kind of their attempt at the salary cap and trying to even teams out so you don't have, 6 max players on one team and only 2 on the other, so it's like you can only have 3 spots and this and that. There's trade exceptions, yada yada yada, right? So
But you
my
can
thing is
have
it's like
more. You can have a certain amount. There's just a tax. You can have more than the max, right? You're gonna pay a tax.
well, it's not necessarily more max players, but you can be over the salary cap in
Okay,
general,
that's
and
what it
there's a
is.
luxury tax for that. But
Gotcha.
you can only have so many. There's only so many max player roster spots on your roster,
Hmm.
right? So that's where the NFL needs to go. It's like, rather than have a franchise tag, if you deem that this person could be a quote unquote max player, well then that should be equivalent to X number of dollars equals X number of years.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. It's like that's why, like, when you start talking NBA free agency, you'll start hearing like, if he goes to so and so, it'll be, 186 million over 4 years, and it's like, they don't, or 5 years. They don't, like, a max player is a 5-year deal,
Hmm.
but like after 2 years there's player options, there's team options, all that stuff. So that's where the rip cords are at if you want to trade them or people want to opt in or opt out, you know?
Hmm.
So the NFL just needs to get on board with that, but the owners don't wanna do that because it's too much control on the player side, you know?
Mm, yeah.
But it's just like but you throw the franchise tag at them, and it's just like it's almost like throwing a leash around their neck and saying, "You can't go anywhere. I got you." You know?
Yeah, and I mean, this is Dak is the perfect scenario or
This is the
example
perfect
where
example
it's
of
like
of the risk that
he's got
you take
nothing.
playing under the franchise
Yeah,
tag.
yeah, he'll get
And
his
that's
money
why
this
Trent
year.
Williams didn't play last year for the, Washington Redskins because he's like, they wanted to franchise tag him, and he's like, "No, you're not gonna give me a long-term deal, and you're not gonna trade me, then I'm not gonna play and risk my body, and what if I break my leg the same way, and now I can't play again?"
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
it's an Dak is a perfect example of. I mean, he'll get paid. He'll get the money for this year, but he's not. There's no way in hell he gets if he played as he just the same as he's been playing. Didn't even have to play crazy. Just as decent as he's been playing. He's not going to get anything near the contract he would have gotten if he played through the season because the doubt.
Let's lay out another scenario, okay? Cam Newton did not break his leg and was a
Hmm.
free agent, went to a Super Bowl, has won an MVP, and signed the veteran minimum for $1,000,000,
Yeah.
whereas Dak Prescott was just getting paid $31.5 million for this year.
Yeah.
Probably more of that, but I think it's at least that. So my point is like Dak Prescott was getting $30 million more just this season than Cam Newton, and I'm not convinced that Dak Prescott is a better quarterback than Cam Newton.
No,
I'm
I
not.
don't. I think they're on the same playing field,
That
just
franchise
different.
tag value is 30 something $1,000,000,
Yeah.
and you know, so it's just ridiculous. It's like, and Cam Newton's playing under a 1-year deal. So Cam Newton can have that same injury and, still be screwed,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's definitely going to bring some awareness to it, I think.
My
And
point with that well, sorry, my point with bringing that up about Cam Newton is that, like, we know that for sure because of this injury, Dak Prescott will be a free agent next year.
yeah,
And
I think that's pretty.
I'm
I
willing
mean,
to I'm
to
willing to
be
roll the
honest,
dice and say that Dak Prescott gets signed somewhere, probably 2 to 3 years, and the average salary is less than $25 million per year.
yeah, I can get on board with that. I'll say Jerry Jones has pulled some shit out of his ass sometimes. I wouldn't be surprised if because you got to kind of look at what's out there, right? There's not much better out there that you're gonna pick up than Dak. I wouldn't be surprised if Jerry and Dak work out a contract deal that's like maybe a short term, little bit like you know,
Nah.
I don't know.
In my personal opinion, I don't think Dak Prescott wears a Cowboy jersey ever again.
I mean, I'd be
I
okay with that if it's a Niner
I think
jersey,
I think
but
he was already getting frustrated with like, they had 2 years now to extend him and make a long-term deal.
yeah,
I think he was getting very
yeah,
frustrated
that's
over
a good
time,
point. I
and
forgot about that. They've been in kind of that
he
contract funk for a little while.
Dak didn't wanna be the guy that held out. He didn't wanna be the guy that held out for that contract that he deserved.
Yeah.
So he rolled the
Well, he's another
dice.
one of those guys that's like
He
just a
bet it
humble
on
person.
himself. He bet it on himself because he's like, "Fuck it." He's like, "You don't wanna pay me? Then I'll just ball out and make you pay me."
Yeah,
And then he took the risk on the injury, and this is what happens. And this is the whole reason why guys hold out because
yeah,
they know the injury plays into effect and it affects the guaranteed money that you could have made, you
yeah,
know? And so it's just an interesting conundrum because it's like I think because of that past history and what Jerry Jones had the ability to do multiple times and never did, and you're watching Ezekiel Elliott get paid, you're watching Amari Cooper get paid, you're watching all these other guys get paid, the linebacker they got paid. It's like and I'm your quarterback and I'm supposed to be the most valuable guy on your roster before any of these guys. I'm supposed to be the captain, the leader, and do all this stuff. And I'm playing like it, and you're still not gonna pay me, you know? And so it's like I think that he's like, fine. This is like it like I took the risks and the bad side that could have happened of these risks actually did, which to me would have leave a more sour taste in my mouth, which means that I'm gonna go find employment elsewhere.
yeah. No, that makes sense. Uh, Speaking of holdouts, that's my transition to my last little funky NFL thing this weekend is Le'Veon Bell has out of
Yes.
kind of nowhere, not really, like there's some history, but it is still kind of out of nowhere, was released by the Jets. I was just trying to find it because I saw it earlier and it was really an amazing little fun fact, but um, I can't seem to find it. I don't want to waste the time looking for it. But basically, there's a little someone threw something out on Twitter that was an interesting fact that you know 2017 Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown combined had like this crazy number of yards and crazy number of touchdowns in their in the younger side of their careers, and here we are 3 years removed and neither of them is on a team. Just kind of wild to think of that way. I wish I had the numbers because the numbers really make you have
Yeah,
that
I'm sure
wow
there I mean,
factor.
I'm sure Le'Veon was close to, like, 1,500 yards, both rushing and receiving.
Yeah.
So I'm sure
I think it was something
was
almost like
probably
three.
over 1,000 yards, and they both probably had, like, in the teens with touchdowns and stuff.
Yeah, it was just the number was just you're just like wow, like it's just
Yeah.
interesting fact. The thing with Le'Veon Bell that's interesting is like, yeah, okay, so he hasn't been living up to the hype in New York, but here, I mean, this is a dumpster fire team. He's been
Yeah.
averaging like I think it's something like 3.3 yards per carry. Um, but and he's gonna land somewhere within the next day or two. I would honestly wouldn't be surprised if he has a destination before this podcast actually goes live on YouTube.
Well,
So
the thing is with Le'Veon Bell, it's like he's 28 years old. He's on the right side of 30,
yeah,
okay? Um, B, we all know what he can be. He's an every down back who you don't need it it's like you can
who's
throw to him.
lethal? Yeah, who's lethal in the running and passing game.
The craziest thing for me, it's like I know the Niners won't sign him, and the fanboy in me comes out. It's like it would be cool because it's like the Niners and Kyle Shanahan are all about yardage after catch, and that's the one thing that Le'Veon Bell has been since he got in the league. It's like that's the thing that wowed you about him. It's like when this guy gets the ball, it's like he plows for another 6 yards,
Yeah,
you know? And
the,
it's
the
like whether
Niners
he's
are
hitting a swing
the
pass out of the
Niners.
backfield or he's hitting a hole, it's like once he gets contact, he gets yardage after contact, you
Yeah,
know?
the Niners have been in the conversation a little bit, not so much as they were when he was originally on the market. the The chatter right now is around the Chiefs, which if he goes to the Chiefs, dude, that's just that's a freaking all-star team.
Yeah.
Like
I think
that'll be unreal. And it'll give him the motivation to probably go back to that player he was those 3 years ago. Um,
yeah, obviously, it's been cited that the biggest issue with the Jets was there wasn't him and the head coach and the GM were not getting along, and
yeah,
I mean, and that happens when you're not winning games.
yeah,
People are pointing fingers and, like, yeah, he sat out a couple games because of injury, so it's like things are going well, and he didn't have a spectacular season last year
yeah,
either,
yeah.
but they
Very
also didn't
quiet.
have a good team last year either,
Yeah,
you
and
know?
that's what it comes down to. I think the thing more so it's not him and his play and where he's going to end up. I think the surprising thing to me is they didn't trade him. Like the
Well,
contract was tradable. I really think the contract was
really,
tradable for something. The fact
you
that
look at the
they didn't
average
trade they traded him for nothing. They just let him go, cut him loose.
but
That's what was kind of crazy to me.
this is also the way of the NFL, right? They wanna control the market for each position player in a sense. Like, the
Yeah.
quarterback market's already getting out of hand,
Yeah.
in terms of how much it costs each player. Now, the durability factor of a running back, it's like you're rolling the dice with
Yeah.
with the injury factor, so nobody wants to pay somebody outlandish amount of money. They wanna get a good deal, like, the Niners have 3 guys that make between $5 and $6 million. It's like that's the sweet spot rather than paying one guy 15 million a year,
Yeah.
and it's like, I know he's only guaranteed $8 million this year, but that's still north of what most teams would like to pay or would still have the cap space to pay a running back.
Yeah.
So, when you're looking at another team and you already see turmoil, you're not gonna trade anything for them because you know they're probably gonna cut the guy. because if they're not going to play him and they're not going to, no one's going to bite on this, and things are just going south, and they just want to free up cap space, like they'll just cut him, and
Yeah.
then you can sign him for whatever the hell you want, you know?
Yeah, and I guess you bring up the point where because he is cut, the deal that he signs is probably not going to be very close to the deal he just had.
I mean, the
So
reality of the
they are going to
situation is,
save on that. It's
the
just
way I
still like
see it.
this is an all-star player, man.
Oh,
That's
yeah, no, no,
it's
it's
just
not
wild.
he didn't get cut because he's not performing. This is why he got cut. He got cut because you just benched the quarterback for Joe Flacco. The team is like, they're over for the season. You know what I mean? It's like they're not going anywhere. This is his
Yeah.
second year that they're not going anywhere. He's like, "Dude, I'm 28. I sat out a year. Like,
Yeah.
I wanna get to the playoffs. I wanna play for a contender." He's probably asking for a trade. Nobody will trade for him.
Yeah.
So, and as much as he keeps beefing with the GM and the coach, they're like, "I don't wanna deal with this guy. Let's just fucking cut him."
Yeah.
And they both did themselves a favor. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
he'll land somewhere, and he'll play, he'll ball, and it'll probably be the Chiefs, and, we'll see what happens, you
Yeah,
know?
I think it's just wherever this guy lands, it's going to be it's just it's one of those things that it doesn't happen often with the timing of where we're at in the season and everything. And it's the type of player that if he goes to the right spot, it is going to be a game changer. And probably realistically speaking, depending on where he goes to, like for example, if he goes to the Chiefs, you're almost in a sense, if he is still who he was and can be that person, you're essentially handing another championship to the Chiefs. Like they don't really need him. They're doing
Yeah,
fine how with what they have, but that is just a weapon, especially because he's so good in the pass game and the run game. Like he is when he was what
he's
he
still
was on the Steelers.
yeah,
He's a top 3 running back for
yeah,
running, and he's a
and
probably
receiver,
the
yeah.
top running back in passing. And
I
it's
mean,
like
he
to
was
have that
he
on a
was
team with
basically Christian
Mahomes.
McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey was Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
like
think about it.
to have someone like that on a team with Mahomes, like
Yeah,
that's just dangerous because now you
the
got
Chiefs,
2 guys back there. You don't know what to do. They both can run. They
yeah,
one can catch. You're just screwed. You got Kelsey, um, whoever else the receivers are that are pretty decent. Like you got more guys than you can cover.
well, and to be honest, dude, that 3 down running back is so dangerous, like a Swiss Army knife, because it allows the offensive side of the ball to be so flexible to where the defensive side of the ball has to account for 100% of the playbook at all times.
Yeah.
It's like when you have these running backs by committee, in a sense, the way that they're going nowadays, it's like if you look at each committee, there's one running back who's more of a pass catcher than the other. There's one
Yeah.
that's more of an actual running back than the other. And so you don't think that, when this guy versus that guy is in on second or third down, depending on what it may be, that it might mean that the team's probably gonna do this or they're probably
Yeah.
gonna do that. I mean,
Well,
you're showing your tendencies right there. And
yeah.
when you have a 3
That's a
down
solid
back
point
like
because that's why
Le'Veon Bell,
like
it's like, we can do whatever the fuck we want at any time.
yeah, and that's a solid point because that's why in those committees, it's very rare you have one of those running backs have a blowout game. It's
Yeah.
very rare. Where
No.
when you have the back that's an every down back, they're the ones that have the blowout games because just that they game plan like the teams that game plan for something and then they have their backup plans, right?
Right.
When you game plan to say, we're gonna come at Le'Veon Bell hard, we're gonna make sure he doesn't get out the backfield. But then it ends up he just catches the ball the whole game. You're screwed. And then you shift to game plan 2 and the team catches onto that. So what do? Well, then they start handing them the ball, and then you're screwed because now you're everyone's back and you need them up. And
Yeah.
it's exactly that. You can't comfortably predict what to do
No.
with someone like that. And when you have a quarterback back there with him that can run as well and can throw
Extended play.
realistically right now just as good as the best in the league. It's just
Oh, yeah.
that's gonna be it's gonna be I'm a Niner fan, and it's gonna be fun to watch the Chiefs. it's gonna
No,
be
he's
it's gonna
gonna
be
land
fun.
somewhere, like, I don't think he's gonna play week 6, obviously, because 'cause we're too close to Sunday, but
Yeah,
I think he lands with somebody, or even if there's another injury to a team this week, like, then
yeah,
that might dictate where he goes, but, um, yeah, I mean, it's like, there's probably 7 or 8 teams out there that I wouldn't be surprised if he signed with,
yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of it, because he's
And
still
I think the Niners are one of those teams.
yeah,
My
it's
only
possible.
concern with the Niners is we've already shown we're pretty stingy with money,
Yeah.
and this is a dude that he's gonna have he's gonna have some
Well,
teams
he's
wanting
already
him.
gotten paid. He's already gotten paid because he signed, like, 52 million or something like that, and
Yeah,
there was a guaranteed in there, so it's like even though you get released, you still get your guarantee,
yeah.
you know?
But he's still we're gonna have to pay him a little bit, and that's where I think the Niners. It's probably gonna be one of those scenarios that we're known for where we we get down to where like the top 2 or 3 teams that are potential, and then we just get outbid. I think
Yeah.
that's what we're gonna end up seeing.
Yeah, the bummer for the Jets is there's $15 million in dead cap money this year for him, so they basically only have to pay him $6 million, but, actually, they have to pay him 13. In total. Base salary is 8.5. Sorry, 8.5 is the guarantee that he gets. Signing bonus 2 million. So it's about 10 that he's walking away with
Yeah,
for this year. But he has
yeah,
to take a $15 million dead cap hit, which means that as his salary is still counted towards the salary cap, it takes up $15 million towards the salary cap, you know?
yeah. I get you, but he can still get paid by another team,
Yes.
so he's
But
essentially
he
getting two
walked away from
checks.
the Jets already being paid,
Yeah.
basically.
Okay, I get you.
So
He's not getting any
it's like
additional money.
right, so my point is, it's like he can sign for the vet minimum for the rest of this year, which he'll probably do on a one-year deal with whoever he latches onto,
Mhm.
and so he'll get prorated $1.2 million or whatever it is over the next 10 games versus 16,
But
you know?
he's still pocketing that 10 mil
Yeah,
from
but he
the Jets.
still he
Yeah.
still has money in the bank from his
Mhm.
previous contract. So, and then hopefully he does well this year to sign a multi-year deal next
Yeah.
year somewhere else or with the team that he lands with, you know?
I got a feeling it's gonna be if he lands on a contending team, we're gonna see a more old school Bell. Um, if that doesn't work out
Yeah.
and he chases the money, we may see a more average Bell. He's
I
just that
mean, the
type of
reality
player.
is
I think he's shown
he's a
that
guy
where
like Antonio Brown without the drama.
yeah,
I mean, he's a little eccentric, but definitely,
he's pretty quiet. He is pretty quiet
5% of what
outside of the holdout.
Antonio Brown was, you know?
Yeah, outside of the holdout. I mean, you're not seeing Instagram videos of him cussing
Right.
out the cops because his
Or
girlfriend.
retiring every 2 weeks, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
he is
we're trying to find a
he,
helmet and
he's shown that he wants the money, but he's not. Yeah, he's not
he
crazy
wants to
about
win.
it.
That's what he wants,
Yeah.
and that's great,
Well,
so
yeah. So um, yeah. So that was just I just it was a on top of the crazy COVIDness, we just had some just normal weirdness in the NFL. I mean, every year you have those wild moments, but I felt like we just had some real deep ones in one week with what we
yeah,
talked about.
yeah.
Return of Alex Smith,
Well,
Dak's injury.
I'm just glad that we didn't, like, spend so much time on the Niners because there's really nothing to talk about, so,
Dude,
yeah.
I'm not kidding. Like when I messaged our fantasy football chat, I wasn't kidding. Like it's been a long time. I lived through the shit years. I cannot remember the last time I literally was like, I'm turning this shit off, and I turned it off.
Yeah, I mean, we
I
definitely
couldn't
felt
watch
like
it, man.
we regressed a little bit,
Yeah,
but
it
rather
was.
than go down that road, let's go into
Yeah,
something a little bit more fun, and let's do some random questions before we gotta wrap this thing up,
yeah.
so
Fucking Niners.
oh, dude, I know, but let's change gears from sports, and we'll make ourselves think a little bit, you know?
Okay, I'm not very good
Just
at that, but let's do it.
yeah, we know.
Oh
Alright,
man,
alright,
I'm
so
babysitting this beer too.
yeah, how much you getting paid for that?
They're not paying us yet. Maybe someday.
Right on. Alright, man. So I've got 2 random questions here. I've been debating on which one to ask you. but being that you're a nerd and
Thank you.
you like comics and alternate universes, if you, Anthony Hall, could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh man, this is a funny one, dude. Because I'm going through uh training at my work. I'm a trainer for what I do, and this is one of the questions that we always ask, or we get asked. Right? We sometimes we put like you know questions on the trainees, like ask us a fun question, and this is one of the most common ones. So I got a long answer for this because my answer used to be invisibility. I thought invisibility was like it could be useful. And then the Boys TV show came out, and you need to watch this show, man. I know you're not too big into it, but it's very different. But
I will watch it. I've been meaning to watch that one for
you
sure.
gotta watch it because so spoiler warning because I have to explain this. So it doesn't ruin the show or anything, but to anyone that wants to watch it with no spoilers, this is a spoiler warning because I gotta explain this. So I used to always be like, oh, invisibility, it'd be cool. Like, jokingly, you could just walk into a bank, grab whatever money, but more so just the fact of like, just not in like a creepy way, but you can just be wherever, whenever. And then there's this this character in The Boys. I forget his name. It's like into I don't know, whatever. It's a weird name for he's an invisible guy, right? And there's this part in the show where there's he's part of what's called the Seven. It's a superhero group that they're pretty raunchy. They're fake superheroes. They're really shitty people. And there's two girls in the girls' bathroom, and they're like talking or something. And then the one girl walks out. It's like a new member of the group.
Yeah.
And then the older woman, she like as she turns, she's walking out. She says like you're sick or something, right? And then it shows him like start to become uninvisible, and he's just standing there like jerking off, right? So ever since that, I'm like, I can never say invisible again because of this moment. Because now it's like anyone that watches this show is gonna be like, you sick bastard,
Yeah.
So I've had to change gears, and now I think I'm gonna go with teleporting. I think but like cool teleporting, like like the old school Nightcrawler in the
Yeah.
X-Men, where it's like the purple puff of smoke and all that. I don't know. I just think that'd be super cool. Like just like right now, like, oh shit, I just finished this beer. Man, the fridge is so far away. Poof, bam, back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we get another one.
Done.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I just think it's cool. I mean, it's nothing crazy like flying or anything, but I try to like think of it like in a realistic scenario. Like, yeah, flying would be cool, but is that like all you can do? Like your superpower is just to fly, and that's kind of lame.
Yeah.
Like all like there's like laser eyes. It's like okay, that's cool. Like what I can light the fire from across the like I try to think like what is a superpower that you could really utilize, and I think teleporting is one that you could like really utilize in so many ways. So
well, that's good,
that's
man. I think I'm glad that you're going for the utilization factor rather than like the flashy, cool, knee jerk reaction because I've thought about that too. Like you think about like, oh, super strength. Like, if I had super strength, then everybody would call me every day asking me to do something for them, or whatever else, or if I had super speed, then I'd have to do things for people because I could do it faster or anything like that, right? So my main thing is like, and then you also think like, okay, when am I gonna need to have super speed? When am I gonna need to have super strength? Yeah, there might be certain scenarios where it comes in handy, but like the thing that I could probably use the most is mind reading.
See, I've thought about that one too. I feel like
And it's
that
like
one
I
it
know
could go
there's times
south
where
too.
you don't wanna know,
Yeah.
but maybe there's an ability to turn that off. I don't know.
Yeah.
But my thing is like I think it would be so cool to to be able to mind read, so then you can really be able to help people or do things
Yeah.
for people or do this or do that,
See, that's where we
or,
differ because for the
you know?
second you said mind reading, my brain instantly went to that'd be really useful at a poker table where you're sitting over here thinking,
Yeah.
I could save
Yeah.
lives, I could prevent so much stuff. And my jackass is over here like, oh, I'm getting fucking paid with some mind reading.
Oh, dude, trust me, like, that'll come in handy, like, on the flip side, like, those are, like, sort of the residual benefits, right? It's like
Yeah.
you got the one thing where it's, like, pro-life and I could help you do X, Y, and Z, or you don't have to worry to remind me about that because I just read your mind before it came through your lips, you know?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
all that kinda stuff. But
We always finish
but
each other's
yeah,
sentences.
obviously yeah, or obviously it's like, maybe you're at work and like you're reading your boss's mind and then it's like, oh, that gives you how many like, oh, really? Good job, Dan. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, I know that answer. You know what I mean? Like it might benefit you in some ways that you never know
I
before,
can I can
So
picture that with you, like the boss coming in the morning. All right, we got a situation. What do you guys think the problem is? And here's Dan in the background. Well, I mean, do you want the answer word for word, or do you want me to
yeah.
fake it a little bit?
Well, that's the thing. You'd like because like you'd have to fake it, right? And every time I think of like mind reading, I think of that Mel Gibson movie of like what women
Oh
want, where he
yeah,
could like read women's minds, and I'm just like, I get it that like it was a negative thing after a while, but like that's where it's like a superhero always knows how to harness their superpower
yeah,
to the best, possible whatever for themselves, right? And so it's like maybe there's a time and a place where it kicks in, or I have to hit a certain button on my watch to make it activate or something like that. Who knows? Whatever stupid thing it is.
yeah.
But
I think I
if it
think we
was
got two solid superpowers.
yeah, I
They
like
they
it.
they work good together too. We could
True.
utilize them together.
True, man. I would know where you're teleporting
Yeah,
without you telling me.
yeah.
And
I
but
don't really
I
know
don't
how
know
I
if
could utilize you, but I mean, I could drop you
I
real
don't know if
quick
I'd be able to
behind
get
the.
there at the same time.
I could drop you really quick behind the Powerball wheel. You could read
Yeah,
what's
there you
coming
go.
up next.
There you go. Yeah.
All right, I got a quick dumb one for you.
All right, let's do it.
How come you never read about a psychic winning the lottery?
Great question. Because they don't play the lottery?
I was
It
going
would be
more
it
with
would be
the
it would
route
be
of their
unethical?
bullshit, but I mean, we
That
could
too.
go that route.
That too, right? It's always you can't win if you don't play, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe it's one of those things where it's like,
Maybe it's against their code.
yeah, like, oh, I'm a
Can't play the
blackjack dealer, so I can't play a blackjack at the
yeah.
casino that I work at, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah. It's like I feel like they would give a really like easy answer like, "Well, I'm a psychic. If I won the lottery, they're going to know what
they're
my
gonna
career
know.
is and they're going
Yeah,
to question it. So why
they're gonna
even
sue
bother?"
me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
setup. It was rigged. So,
But then
that
again, you should like, a psychic should win the lottery so they could prove to everybody that they're actually a psychic, and then they'd probably make more money than they won in the lottery
yeah.
with business that they'd have after that,
Yeah.
you know?
So then that kind of makes it more lean towards are
Bullshit.
they bullshit? I've
Yeah.
never been to a psychic, dude. It's just weird to me, but
Dude, the whole thing, like, it's like I was wa what's his name? Bert Kreischer. I was watching his new show on Netflix
yeah,
about The
I gotta
Cabin.
start watching that.
I just watched, like, the first episode last night with Ashley, and, like, first she was like, "Oh my god, I don't wanna watch it," and then she's laughing the whole way through.
Yeah.
Like, he brings, like, this, like I don't know what he called her, but, like, this lady is doing, like, a spiritual cleanse on him, and he's just, like, laying there, and she's, like, waving stones over him and, like, all this, like, crazy bullshit, and, like, Tom Segura and this other guy looking at him like, "The you actually feel something?" You know?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, complete bullshit. I
Yeah.
mean, I
I
know there's people that believe in this stuff, and I mean, more power to you, but, like, there's nothing tangible there for me, so I'm just like, like,
yeah.
how can we prove this is working? I guess if you believe in it, there's a peace of mind in this, but it's just like, I don't buy into it,
Yeah.
you know?
My grandmother, she was a yoga instructor up until God, I think she was like 78 years old. Um she was big into like the essential oils, right? Essential
Yeah.
oils, and she used to always try to sell me on them. I was so mean as a kid to her, man. She was so amazing, but I just remember this one time, dude. I finally set her off. Where I come in the house. I think I'm like coming back from school or something, and the house just reeks of this fucking smell, dude.
It's like
And I
sage
walk
or
in, and
something.
I'm like, what? Like what died in here or something? She's like, no, I'm using, I'm using my essential oils to cleanse my mind and stuff. And I'm
It's the
like,
diffuser I have both
I just
the
remember her saying like it did something like it had like fantastic mind cleansing things. And
properties.
I just remember saying, I used to call her Nini or Neen for short. I just remember saying, Neen, the reason it's clearing your head is because it's making you high as fuck. And I just remember her saying, I just remember like word for word, she said, Anthony, I'm sick of your shit. Just go away. Because I used to always mess with their fucking essential oils, dude. Like they smelled horrible, dude. Like rotting carcasses. Like you'd walk in and be like, what died in the hallway, dude? And she'd be back there
Oh
just like, oh, just breathe and be calm. And I'm just like, yeah, you're fucking high. That's what's going on. That shit is so strong and you're wafting it into your face.
She probably did
Uh,
smoke and then just, like, use the
she dude,
essential oils
she was a
to match,
hippie. I've
you know?
her and my grandfather were hippies. There were definitely some times I walked into them looking pretty suspicious, but I never saw it. I never saw it with my own eyes. I never saw the act of it, but I do have a couple memories of me saying some pretty normal stuff to my grandfather and him cracking up like I was a stand-up comedian and me being really confused. So I did, you know what? Just to add to, we can end on this. When my grandfather passed away, I had to go up to the house and like clean out all his stuff. And I'm not kidding you. I found like an ounce of weed in his closet that I mean, it was solid brown. Like it had to have been up there for I'm not even exaggerating, like 10 years, right?
Wow.
But like it was a little box, it had a pipe and it had a bag of weed.
Yeah.
Huh?
Dude, who forgets about an ounce of
Well,
weed?
this is the thing is I'm not
Well, I mean
entirely sure if it was his that he just, hid behind our backs or everything, or if he confiscated it from my older brother or possibly even me. So
one of your brothers,
yeah.
you know?
So I just remember like talking to AJ, my older brother, about it, and us cracking up because we are like looking at it and we're like we never really worded it to each other, but I know we were thinking the exact same thing. Like, is this yours or mine? But like
Yeah.
we never really like we just kind of looked at it and it's like we just went off the whole like, how long do you think this was in here for? We both are like trying to think through it and like he hadn't been around for a long time. I haven't, I hadn't been smoking since like high school because of government jobs and stuff like that. And it's like, if it was one of ours, it literally had to be in the closet for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
If it was his, why
Why
didn't he
wouldn't he?
finish it? Like,
Yeah,
what happened? Like, did he buy it and forget about it? So it's
yeah.
just one of those funny stories,
He
dude.
must have bought it, like, the day dementia set in, you know?
Yeah, maybe like like that. That's something we talked about. Like, do you think like he bought it with like plans of smoking it, and then like, you know, the dementia just kind of
Or he
like,
confiscated it with plans of smoking it, that's why he put
yeah,
it away instead of threw it away.
yeah. It's just a funny one of my funniest memories of him
Uh,
after. Like like you learn something about someone, like learn things about some people after they pass away that you didn't know. Like that's just one of those things. That's one of those funny stories because it's something like I learned from him about him, but it's such a heavy like unknown still, you know. So it's
yeah.
just always something that's kind of made me chuckle when it comes up or I think about it.
Oh, I know. I know. That's a good one, dude.
Yeah.
A good
I
one.
think I actually have a picture of it on one of my phones somewhere. I'd have to go back and look at it.
Oh, yeah.
I just
Yeah.
remember like it looked like the definition of Bammer, dude.
Some brown shake up
Oh
in
yeah,
there.
it just. I remember when I first grabbed it, I had to like take a double take and like really make sure like it was weed. It was so bad, and it's hard to tell. Like it's been up there for so long. Like, is that what it looked like, or did it just like age over time to this? Like it was sealed up pretty decently, and that's like goes into the debate. Like if my grandfather bought weed, like And he didn't come to like me or my brother about it. Like, who did he go to for it? Like, did he know anything about it? Because I know like there was like when I was a kid, like my grandparents were really good about,
He
making
probably
sure
still
that
had some friends who knew how to get some or were growing their own or whatever, you know?
yeah, it's just like it just
Didn't
opens so
find
many
the big
questions.
trouble, you know, I'm sure he still had a line on something,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. My
So
aunt, after he passed away, used to tell me a bunch of funny stories about him. Like, I guess he used to smoke quite a bit of pot when he was. I mean, they were legit hippies, so it was
oh,
no
yeah,
secret. But
their prime years were the '60s and '70s, dude,
yeah,
where, I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure they were all about it, you
yeah.
know?
Uh,
So,
but they were really good. I will say they were fantastic around me, raising me and stuff with
oh, yeah.
being good examples and everything. I mean, I'm whom I am today because of them, and like I said before, because of the father figures I kind of luckily surrounded myself with. But I leave out because I had so much freedom, but they really did take good care of me. And I get these funny little stories to share about them.
They
So
did. You had a good time,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah. All right.
Alright, man. I think we're wrapping this one up. Let's put a
Yeah,
bow on it.
I'm down. Thank you guys for kicking it and listening to episode 17. We're still rolling. Uh, I'm not gonna say it. YouTubers, you know what to do. People listening on other platforms, thank you for kicking it. Come say what's up. We're on Instagram, Facebook. I always forget the Facebook because I don't have a Facebook. Danny does have a Facebook though, so he runs the show. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Come say hi. Come tell us we're ridiculous. Come give us something to talk about, and we will see you next week.
Peace.
Peace.